What's up, guys? Welcome back. Now there's quite a bit of mosquitoes out, so you're gonna see me battling a little bit. But let's discuss the topic of, well, this won't be necessarily the main topic, but this will kind of lead us into more of the topics throughout our conversation today. So some of you may have heard this idea. It has also been brought forth by Howdy Mikowski with his studies of the Cathars. Now, this idea that Christ was potentially appearing as a hologram, because I gave this some thought recently and it makes sense. Now, given that there's a veil, which I think actually there may be two veils, at least two veils. There's first the veil of the moon, and then there's the veil of the entrance to the black hole. So in the Gnostic story, it is described that Sophia, realizing her creation was abhorrent, she decided to put a sheet over the creation to hide it from everyone else. Okay, now there's cats attacking each other. Okay, so the sheet, right? So that is the first veil, potentially. Now this also explains the void, the darkness, and why the void isn't necessarily our true home. It's simply inside the womb or inside the veil. Because imagine the light being covered, right? You can see the light, and now there's a veil over you, and now you're in darkness, right? And then it is said that out of that darkness comes the torchlight of Plato's cave, the false light, okay, from darkness to light, like the Masons say, okay? But again, this wouldn't make sense for that to be the primordial source of creation, because something does not come out of nothing. Something has to come out of an already eternal something, an already eternal light source. It's a different sort of light source, okay? It's an unfulfilled potential, an unrealized potential, an ineffable source, in my opinion. What it would be, it wouldn't be a void, it wouldn't be a blackness. That sounds again more like the black hole, right? More that like it's sucking something into it because it has nothing, so it has to pull from outside of itself. And here we are, the divine sparks of, let's say, the true spirit. I don't know what's going on. That were pulled into this blackness, okay? So again, the sheet. So then it would make sense that for Christ to come in, and he could have done both. He could have materialized into the body, like he does say that he entered the prison amidst the prison of the body, which that is also very likely, but he could have also appeared as a hologram either before this or after this, let's say after his resurrection, where he appeared to certain people. And if you could think about it logically, how it is, at least here in material terms, right, in physical terms, if you have a sheet covering something and you, let's say, indent your features into that sheet, then it's going to create a sort of holographic looking image, right? So you're not going to see my face completely if I put my face through this white sheet, but you're going to see what looks more like a caricature, let's say, or an outline. That's the word I was looking for, an outline of my face rather than my physical or descriptive features of my face, right? So in our terms, that would be more like a hologram, I feel like, right? We could identify as a hologram. Now, I do specifically think he did pierce the veil, because that piercing, that entering from outside and then ascending through it, out of it, again leaves a hole, leaves a gap, so that the others may also leave. Even though I think we were free to leave at one point, but with our descent into material matter that fully cemented the the veil of forgetfulness at least. Okay, and maybe we just don't remember the way out anymore. But again, the book, Can You Stand the Truth, presents a great case regarding what to do at death, in terms of visualizing that point in time where Christ was, let's say, ascending, where he was crucified, and maybe at that point in time he did create a gap, and if you can connect to that, then that is essentially a way out of this demiurgic realm. Although again, intent is very powerful, and maybe you can create your own portal out of here simply by focusing on returning to the true source. But again, let's go back to this Gnostic idea. So Sophia throws this veil, right? Well, first of all, how is it so that in a creation so perfect, where the unrealized potential is so perfect, is so all-knowing, that she could possibly even think of hiding this creation from something that is all-knowing? Maybe from the other aeons, I can see that, okay? They're not maybe as all-knowing. But the true source potentially is perfectly aware of this and was allowing it to happen because of, who knows, free will or experience, another lesson. So I do believe maybe fair warning was provided to those that entered into the black hole, into the tree of knowledge of good and evil, of good and bad, of right and wrong. But how is it possible that she could have even made this mistake to begin with? And it is said that she did it out of the love of her father. Now again, why wasn't Christ enough? Christ was essentially a spitting image of the Father, right? From what we understand, at least. Again, these are just questions that we can analyze, and we don't just take every story for granted. This story seems to be shared throughout many cultures, actually, not just the Gnostics. Going to the Yazidis, a specific sect out of northern Africa that I think later turned into the Coptics. They actually believed that the true God is or not the true God, but the God of this realm is resembling a peacock and is a very benevolent being, actually, that actually was helping them. And if you follow my work, you know that I connected the peacock with the eyes on its tail, which is symbolizing the all-seeing eye, but also the cock, or the rooster, connected to a Braxis, connected to the demiurge. Peacock also resembling the phoenix. So all these beings are connected. Phoenix representing the eagle representing Zeus. Zeus is the father of the gods, currently, from what we know, the father of the Olympians. So they've treated the God of this universe as benevolent. Now, some even claim that Sophia is Lucifer herself because of her fall, her descent. But then, from what we know of Lucifer, that means she disrespected God or disobeyed the true God, the source, and betrayed him and said, no, I wanted to make my own creation. Very likely as well, right? But again, there's an element of questioning. Okay, well, if that is true, if she is the true Lucifer and didn't create a Lucifer and isn't the mother of Lucifer, why should we trust someone that is disobeying the true source? That means she would probably want to keep us here herself, especially with her transformation into the earthly body. There's something afoot here. Maybe her purpose isn't to let us out of the matrix, of the Ma's tricks. Maybe she wants to keep us here. So it's something to think about. But did Christ truly intervene, truly enter? Did she truly repent? And has she been trying to help us in any way? And in that case, why hasn't it already happened? Right? We hear of a Christ coming in. Why don't we hear of a Sophia coming in, although there have been comparisons to Mary of Magdalene, right, said to be Christ's counterpart. So that also needs to come to the surface more. But again, where is the source, the all-knowing source that is letting this happen? Did we truly agree to be here? And how could we know in our state of forgetfulness? Is this all we have to go by, these teachings that Christ left? This to bring awareness to us? Or is there something more that maybe we're missing? So why isn't Source fully intervening? Because maybe he could just snap his fingers and boom, we would come home. Is there an element of free will that we're missing that maybe he's respecting? Which would make sense, because in our attachment to these objects, we are still engaging with our, let's say, ego, our egoic free will, and saying, no, I don't want to come home. I still want to play in these endless desires that I am entertaining. So in a sense, that does make sense. And of course, those endless desires are resulting in the suffering that we feel. So again, we're back to the Buddhist, Taoist philosophy of detachment, of neutrality. And it's not about being good or evil. It's not about the right-hand path or the left-hand path, because Jesus taught to walk a narrow path, right? And that's the most difficult of all, because you don't get the acclamation for being such a great, pious person. You are pious in your own virtues, in your own standards, that you will not be pulled from your path of let's say solitude, or full detachment and full self-realization in aspects that do not pertain to this worldly realm anymore, which can be a very lonely path if you choose that, if you truly choose to go home, because you're not engaging with the world as much anymore. Now again, that's not necessarily what I'm recommending. You can still be in the world but not of it. You can still walk around and be sociable, but if you're not aware of every single thing that is partaken in your life, and you're letting it pull you in multiple different directions, then it can take you back into the game, and the demiurge basically has you playing its game again and facilitating that energetic benefit that it so desperately desires. Okay, so these are some questions to consider regarding a lot of these stories, because these stories had to have come from somewhere. Now, with the Cathars, with the Gnostics, could they have received information truly from their spiritual selves outside of this matrix, or at least at the highest levels of this matrix, which I think could be the Garden of Eden, could be Saturn's realm, which is described as Yahweh being the ruler there, Yahweh's Garden of Eden. And in the Masonic story, they describe Lucifer as a sort of Prometheus, as the one that frees us from Yahweh's grasp. But again, in the planets and the astral barriers that encompass us, with the moon being the first and Saturn being the last, I would place Lucifer really at the top of that pyramid, right, with the levels below it. Lucifer actually controlling everything, and maybe Lucifer coming in not necessarily to free us, but to throw us further down into the matrix. Because that was a Garden of Eden. Yeah, nothing was happening there. That was kind of, let's say, maybe like a false paradise. Nothing is happening. There's no energetic polarity. There's no illusion of movement, illusion of growth. So they had to introduce vibration and magnetism and electromagnetism, to create the illusion of movement. And here we are born into sin, born into the sine wave, right? So could that have been what really happened? I don't know. Consider these questions. Think for yourself. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.